What's up, everybody?
Hello, 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 world.
Hola, senor. Since we're going to be speaking some Spanish later on.
I know, I wish I spoke Spanish.
I actually, you know what's funny about this comic we're going to read today?
Yeah.
Is the first instance of Spanish, I'm like, oh, we're going to see Spanish in the rest of this comic. I don't care to look up any of these words. Because the story itself is not interesting enough for me to even go look it up.
Oh.
If it was an interesting comic book, you know how you just oh, what does this word mean?
Yeah,
I had none of that childlike curiosity.
Damn.
I was like, when is this going to be over? That's what I was thinking the whole time.
Okay.
There's a TV show. There's a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where they talk about terrible movies and make fun and poke fun of them. So I feel like this is going to be our version of that for this one.
I'm not going to tear it down that much. I actually.
Okay.
we're having extremes. This is Superior Spider-Man, but on the opposite end.
You really liked it?
I'll reserve my opinion for when I get there.
I would love to see what you liked. We might have liked the same things. We might have liked the same things, but you better damn well have hated
it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is That's Canon, and thank you for tuning in. This is another podcast offered by the Franklin Armstrong Collective, which is available on franklinarmstrong.com. I myself am Brian Holiday, and to my left is our co-host, Dave. From Squared Dash Ideas. Hey, you're not allowed to talk yet. I'm just gonna, no, I'm just joking. Go ahead, man. Introduce yourself, Dave.
Sorry. So you always, I'm not sure if you're gonna say or to my left. I'm never sure if I'm supposed to say my name or not.
No,
it's back and forth so many times.
I always want to say the website squared-idea.com.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I am Dave, co-writer of the book Trinity, as well as learning colorist and appreciator of coloring now because of it. Yeah. And you could catch us at squared-idea.com. You could do the same search in Facebook and you'll find us. And if you want to subscribe to our work, which you could subscribe to just Trinity or just Fathom, or for a decent price, Trinity and Fathom, it's a monthly subscription on Patreon. And if you don't like that, you could also check out Patreon just for a bunch of other independent artists because that's what it's there for.
Okay. And Toby!
Yeah, your friendly neighborhood comic book nerd, a.k.a. also known as a fitness junkie. And you can find me at that fit dude, a.k.a. Adonis. I like that one. At that fit dude on Instagram.
There you go. So, guys, today we're going to be discussing Images, Coyotes, Volume 1, which runs issues 1 through 4. Story by Sean Lewis and art by Caitlin Yarsky. This one is a recent release because I know we recently did Superior Spider-Man, which was 2013, which we only realized afterwards when we started reviewing it. But this one, the last issue of Volume 1 actually came out, I think, just in April, and the actual last issue of the 4-issue run came out in February. So
I'm almost happy that we're only doing one volume of these things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go into the elevator pitch. So this is the elevator pitch, and this is where we give you the rundown as it is written by Image, and then we give you our own take. So, Image's rundown. Women are going missing in the city of Lost Girls, a border town in the desert. Officer Frank Coffey is trying to get to the bottom of this when he meets Red, a 13-year-old girl with a katana blade and a mission: murder the werewolves stalking the border and picking women off one by one. When it's discovered that the wolves are men of these villages, both Red and Officer Coffey are thrown together in a thriller of mystic proportion, with the lives of their friends and loved ones in the balance. Kill Bill meets The Howling in this epic by creators Sean Lewis and Caitlin Yarsky. The collection collects issues 1 through 4. So
I'm sorry.
His look of disgust.
Look of disgust.
I can't believe they just said Kill Bill.
I wish we had that
Meet
picture.
The Howling to describe this comic book. I can't believe Image even has this as part of their library.
Oh. Wait, this is your review. Wait, hold on.
No, it's not my review. This is my elevator pitch to tell the guy who just bought that pitch to go fucking throw it out on the fire. Okay? So...
Damn. So Toby's going first, by the way.
I can't believe they just compared it to Kill Bill and The Howling. This is such a try-hard comic book. It's insane. It reminds me of the beginning. It reminds me of they saw Preacher and they're like, oh, we can do something similar to this. And like that's how the beginning. This kind of like started out how Preacher starts out, where it's like the guy's driving and it's like this guy doesn't know where he's about to walk into, but then none of the story makes sense. Have you ever seen someone put shit in a paper bag and light it on fire?
Oh my god!
That's what this book is.
Oh my god!
Throw it away. That's my elevator pitch. Don't waste money. Don't waste money.
Just a sidebar. Toby's face when you were reading that is probably the exact image of my face when we were going through Superior Spider-Man.
Okay.
If not even worse. So much worse. So I'll jump into...
And by the way, sorry, if you guys want to read a story about a girl or a woman wielding a katana blade that's better than this, go read Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer by our buddy
Krausen. David Krausen.
I would have also said Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I'll do my elevator pitch.
He meant with a lead with katana blades. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll do my elevator pitch, which is this is just really a version of trying to create a new monster, a tangent of the werewolf family being coyotes, and it's done in a small little town, which makes it a little bit appropriate. It's very horror-esque, and I think that's it because like I'm still trying to process the entire thing that Toby just said right now.
So I'll give you guys.
It's like Sin City, and Preacher. If it was written by what's that crazy author that does all the drugs? Johnny Depp was him in a movie.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
If those two were written by Hunter S. Thompson on the craziest acid trip of his life, that's what this is. And not the greatest acid trip. This is like the bad trip that he had that he didn't write on.
Might I just add, though, the second you said Hunter S. Thompson, you probably sold the guy in the elevator. He's like, I'll take two.
I know. That's why I have to follow it up with Hunter S. on his worst acid trip.
That only makes you want to read it more, dude.
Damn it. Forget I said that.
I love it. So my elevator pitch is a quick one. It's essentially, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, it's essentially take Kill Bill, which I am going to use Kill Bill as the example. And you gave another one, Harriet Tubman, Vampire Slayer, Demon Slayer, right? Sorry, is the Tubbins? I keep saying it wrong, but so. Demon Slayer, yeah. So take those. Take the idea of the female, the female vengeance story is essentially what you're doing, but make it a 13-year-old girl. Is what they're doing.
Then make it nonsensical.
Hey, my elevator pitch. Why is this guy in the elevator with us? He's just yelling at me. I'm trying to pitch here. Who is this guy? So take your classic female vengeance story. And, throw in, Michonne, throw in Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, throw in Kill Bill. The theme is knives and anger and vengeance. Not necessarily always pointed towards men, but in this case, it's very much pointed towards men because the men are actively the ones trying to hurt people. And, but put it in the hands of a 13-year-old girl. I'm trying to get my inner Jeff Goldblum so I can really pitch this to them. It's when you take the magic into something, and when you're trying to create. Anyways, but jokes aside, I think one of the things that will make this interesting is for female readers, it'll be like, I mean, the idea of that kind of next level vengeance against males who have been aggressively pursuing and being disrespectful and literally murdering people, and there's a lot of notes of the missing girls. The city is literally called Lost Girls, which is there's a lot of that in the world, even here in Canada.
That's why it reminds me of Sin City.
Yeah. So I think I get what you're saying. So elevator pitch, that's the elevator pitch. In my review, I'm going to have a lot to say about that because this is my pitch, and whether or not I want it to be made is a different thing. My elevator pitch is just to pitch the idea and make money, but I think my review will definitely address some of those things. And
man, it's like selling your soul. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's our elevator pitch for this one. Hopefully someone is willing to buy this comic after we've Once again, one of the things about the elevator pitch is, we just give you the joke is we're just trying to pitch it to someone on that 3-minute elevator ride. The one line pitch some people might say or something like that. But it's hard for us sometimes.
I couldn't bring myself to.
No, but that's fine. It's hard sometimes to make those pitches when you genuinely don't think the story is worth pitching or being written. My case is I still think the story could be told, but there's certain aspects of it which we will address. I think we all have a lot to say in the comments in our review section a little bit later in the show. Dave,
I think what we should do in this for this segment is maybe rename it buy or sell.
Sorry.
Buy or sell.
Rename it buy or sell.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you're selling it, you're selling it, just get rid of it type situation. If you're buying it, you're buying the story. You're the one buying the elevator pitch.
Ah, okay.
He's doing really good. Our episodes are now issues. And buy or selling. I like this.
This is why we had those meetings early on, and then we just keep having these ideas, which works for me. So for those of you who have listened to the show before, after the elevator pitch, we always go into our next segment, and that is Judgment Call. This week, the Judgment Call is between Dave and Toby. And Dave, you like to explain Judgment Call, so I'll let you explain it as you do. You do so well.
Perfect. Well, it is basically a battle between a battle of wits, if we will, where we try and take two characters that have either been misused or don't have enough spotlight on them, and we each individually fight for their right to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
We each give the combatants 3 minutes to pitch to the judge, which this week will be Mr. Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
And then we have 1 minute to either tear that person down, make fun of the other person's, face or family members, whatever we want to do to try and persuade that our idea is better than the other. And then, then the judge makes his call.
Dun, dun, dun.
So do you guys want to introduce? Because I'm the judge.
Well, I was going to say, historically speaking, me and Toby have had pretty intense encounters when it comes to this. We're both been a little bit competitive. And this time I will request that he goes first.
That's fair.
Okay.
So Toby,
all right. Since you are a winner from the last issue,
yeah.
I will go first. So this is a character. Actually, let me know when my 3 minutes start.
Now.
All right. So this is a character that I actually don't know very much about myself. I have seen this character once in action. Don't remember any other iterations off the top. This character to me was powerful in the appearance that I saw, and it took the whole team or more to wrangle him and hold him down. And this character is in the DC universe. And the team I'm talking about is the Justice League and the Young Justice. Okay. And this character I'm talking about is Red Tornado.
Oh, that is a very good
Red Tornado is a character who hasn't had his day, in my opinion, and that's true. He was recently on Supergirl, and I'm not even gonna touch on that version of him. Every single story arc he's been in, he's been destroyed. He literally ends up being dismantled. He's an android. If I didn't really explain that before, he's an android, sort of but he doesn't have the flesh. They didn't give him a flesh. He's just literally just a big metal tin, kind of has the same coloring as Iron Man, I guess you can say, sort of, right?
Yeah, very similar.
Similar to that anyway. He hasn't really had his day. Every time he goes in to fight, he helps, but they always end up killing him off for some reason or not. They end up killing Red Tornado. Now, if you guys remember in the Young Justice appearance where he was he was sent in to infiltrate the Justice League, and kind of be a part of the league and then turn on them later on. Mm-hmm. And then when he finally did turn and he was supposed to report back, do you know how hard it was for them to even take him down?
Yeah.
So he's a character, I think, let me just bring up his abilities actually right now because I don't really remember. I think he's superior strength, durability, and he's capable of creating cyclones. Powerful storms, cyclones. He can control the weather pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's kind of reminds me of, how the same way how I like John Jones in terms of how little he's used. He is literally the John Jones of the same team to me.
Okay.
Since he's obviously part of the Justice League. And then on top of that, after seeing how strong he was in Young Justice, they literally make him the den mom to the Young Justice instead of bringing him into the Justice League.
Yeah.
So he's always been a nanny or a butler or something, and I feel like he's just looked down upon that way because he's He's a machine. He's a robot.
Yeah.
Cyborg is also a robot, or but he's half machine and he's still human. That's why he gets more respect than Red Tornado does. And Red Tornado, in my opinion, is almost on the same level as Cyborg. Cyborg is just, the whole. It's cool that he has this technology, the mother box, that he's able to wield his power from and get all this knowledge. Yeah.
That's your 3 minutes.
Oh dang! Okay. There's so much more. I just want to see him be more.
Okay. That's fair. I gave you a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you'll have 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
I'm hoping that I'm not going to need as much. So I guess just before I start the minutes, and it's because I know that I'm going to get a rise out of Toby. So the person that I will be taking on, or the image I'm wishing to shatter, will be I'm taking Shatterstar against Toby. And I already see his anger. There's a reason why I haven't chosen it when he was being the judge, because I knew it'd be already a scratch. So I'm trying. This is actually me trying to plead with Toby. I give this guy a chance, and I'm going to try. So that's what I wanted to do. So
I've turned prosecutor now.
You'll have your 1 minute rebuttal. You'll have your 1 minute. Okay, and your 3 minutes start now.
Okay, well, first of all, Shatterstar is from the Mojo universe. He's from the future, actually. He is the perfection of the Mojo world's gladiators. Mojo world is run by Mojo, who basically has a TV show and makes people fight on his show for entertainment. He is
sounds like Cool World.
Yeah, yeah, and he's actually it's the actual universal gladiator story that you could actually get out of this, which I think would be really good for the TV shows and the movies that they're coming out with, because you're trying to go or expanding your universe. So I think it'd be good to bring him in as opposed to using someone like Longshot. So I think that'd be really important. He's born and raised on Mojo World. He has several abilities. Tactician, expert marksman, combat person, strategist. He's known to be able to pick up any weapon and basically be able to use it right away. He has certain abilities like creating portals with his swords that he has, and he could actually shoot vibrational waves through his swords. His stories, the reason why he's even brought to Earth is because he becomes a rebel against Mojo. Then he leaves his reality to come back in time to Earth to try and find the X-Men. And instead of finding X-Men, he actually finds Cable, who recruits him as X-Force. And the whole reason why he's on the X-Force team, which I just found out recently, is that Cable's like, well, we'll go back and fix your problem, but since time's not a factor, can you just help us out? And he's like, fine. It doesn't matter. We could show up literally when I left, and we're going to keep going. I think he has depth. I think that considering they're going to be doing the X-Force movies and whatnot, it'd be really good. He has a lot of interesting matchups. My most notable one would be from the original Wolverine run. Wolverine 54 is one of my favorite comic books, where it's him and Shatterstar fighting and then teaming up. He has an interesting background. He's mysterious. You don't know. You think he's a test tube baby, then you find out he's actually Longshot and Dazzler's son, and he actually goes back in time to erase their memories to protect them, and then goes to normal times. I think he is the original gladiator for the universe before Planet Hulk, and I think you could do a lot from that, and it could explain a lot of characters. He does time shift. The time traveling that he does makes sense. And then I think that's about it that I could do right now. And he's frankly a lot of fun to read. He has a personality to him. He has that type of wit. He has you could tell he has a certain type of accent, and he always turns around and he's like, give me there's a bunch of bad guys in front of me. He's like, give me 10 minutes and the problem will be solved. So I think he's someone who's very easily engaged, and I think he's someone who could fit, and I think he's also someone who is not really necessarily completely understood, and that's why I think he should be given the limelight.
Okay, that's good. You had 10 seconds left, but you're done.
Cool.
Okay, so now we're going to be... Rebuttal time?
That's going to be so brutal.
Actually, I was hoping you'd go first, Dave, for the rebuttal.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll let Toby go.
Oh, boy.
Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine. So what
gives me more time to think about
it. I already see the wheels turning. So let me know when I got.
Okay, and your minute starts now.
Well, the reason why he doesn't deserve it, because he's a bitch, dude. Just like you said, he is always dying because he's a bitch. He can't handle his own shit. He's a nanny butler. He can't make it to the A team because he's a bitch. He does not deserve to be there. He's an Iron Man wannabe. He's a poor version of Vision, who can't even he couldn't hold Vision's like cape, let alone wear it. He can't hold it. Also, again, you compared him to Cyborg. And you know what's the difference between him and Cyborg? One's interesting, one's boring. One is a guy who, like you said, he has no personality. You're falling off your chair for a reason because I'm so right. He's just a jackass. He's a jackass. He infiltrated places. You just said it. He joined a team just to infiltrate to like expose them. He's a jackass. He doesn't deserve any limelight. And the limelight that he's given, you know what happens? He dies because he can't hold it up. He just falls.
Okay.
Limited powers.
So use your minute. Hold on. I'm gonna take a breath here because that was a lot.
I mean, I get it. A lot to take
in.
He's been a bitch because they've been writing him as a bitch.
Okay.
I get that. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a time in the spotlight.
When the shoe fits.
Stop. This is judgment call. Order.
I love when me and Toby get into
Order.
it.
You've had your time, Dave. Please remain silent.
I'll try.
Please, I don't want to have to turn your mic down, so please remain silent. Toby, you have 1 minute for your rebuttal. Are you ready?
Yep.
Starting now.
Oh, Shatterstar. More of the same. Superhuman strength, senses, agility, and oh my gosh, give him a bow staff and a sword and make him really good at martial arts and a military strategist. More of the same. And he lives in the Mojo world? Have you ever seen Powerpuff Girls? You know that villain, Mojo Jojo? I feel like that's exactly the universe that he's a part of. He is a joke. I can't believe you actually think he deserves a movie. I would never go see it. If they make a Shatterstar movie, that's the day I stop watching comic book movies. He is the worst of the worst in terms of, like, interesting. You think he's interesting? What's the best storyline? He fought Wolverine, and then, I can't beat Wolverine. Let's be friends now because I can't fight or beat Wolverine. He is dumb, and your choice of Shatterstar to be more in the limelight is dumb as well. Okay, my guy might be a bitch because he's been written like a bitch.
1 minute.
That's my 1 minute. Come on.
In my defense, I said he should be in the X-Force movie.
Okay,
that's what I just said. He deserves his own movie, his own animated movie.
So,
yes.
let me unpack all this. Oh my god, that was so much. So one thing to confirm. Dave, you were saying that Red Tornado is a poor man's Vision, like he's an imitation, but Red Tornado is 1963. Vision is 1968. Red Tornado is actually first. I felt it was only fair to that statement because what happens there is he's no longer. I mean, are you? What I'm seeing here is an argument that in modern days he's seen as a mimic, but he was originally the first.
Failed.
So, Red Tornado and Shatterstar. Oh my god, so much. So you both made arguments for why I do want to learn more about the characters. You didn't necessarily make the best arguments for why I don't against each other because you pretty much just started attacking each other, which just not has nothing to. I mean, in the end, I've never heard the word bitch uttered that many times.
I know. I thought about defending my character, but I don't know. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, all right, if it's just gonna be a war, we're going for a war.
Yeah. So you guys did, really shit on each other's characters pretty hard. Babysitter, more of the same. I mean, both of those arguments are fair. I think Shatterstar as a character... Well, I'll start with Red Tornado. Red Tornado is an interesting character. I do agree that he does not get enough of the limelight. His power set is very interesting, but underutilized. One of the things that I don't necessarily love about the character is that he's the type of character that his origin story always comes from that same, like, robot gone good. That idea of like, so when you're saying more of the same, he is in that line of being also similar in which, but the character is interesting. I'm not saying
you could write him differently, but a character like Shatterstar, given his ability and power set, I don't see them be doing anything inventive.
and that's what I'm going to say about Shatterstar, because it is a similar argument. Shatterstar is a very interesting character, but I do agree that one of the things X-Men does is, or the X-Verse does, is they really like to reuse their character structure. And Shatterstar, unfortunately, was a victim of that. But the story you told me about who his parents were and the time erasure, the memory erasing, very interesting. It makes me want to learn more about that because of the fact that, I mean, the character himself may not be the most interesting, but the backstory to the creation of the character sounds like it could have a lot of meat to it. And if written properly...
Tornado's creation. Who made him? Why? What was his purpose? What's his...
I know, but that's the thing with Red Tornado is one of the disadvantages that Red Tornado has is he, on his own team, isn't given the chance to step up. And I agree that the writers should do a better job with him, but I'm concerned that the writers don't because they don't feel there's enough of a story for them to write. That's my problem.
I see.
Yeah.
So here's the lesson, kids, whoever's listening. When the judge is making a call and you find yourself defending your character more than you should, it probably means you're going to lose.
But one thing, I just want to put one thing, just because he got so much extra points. I just want to say one thing. If he is the original, he's been completely surpassed by his predecessors. It's not a Robin Batman where Batman's still important. It is Batman to his parents that are dead and gone. That's all.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Because you said
like successor, not predecessor.
Yeah, sorry, predecessor. Like, you're saying that
Vision was successor.
Yeah, sorry, successor. Like, you're saying that Vision came afterwards, but like he's so much better. And I find that the re-encounters of all the other...
so you're making arguments against him again?
Yes.
Well, it's done!
He jumped in! I had to give the
both of you!
My statement was accepted defeat. So.
Yeah, I was going to say... He was telling people how to accept gracefully, and you came in and like kicked dirt on him.
I'm sorry. Ever since Martian Manhunter, you hurt my feelings, bro. You hurt my feelings.
I don't even know if I want to give it to you anymore, Dave, because you were gonna win, but that was not. That was.
I was adding to a point. He had some extra points. I wanted. All right, I'm sorry.
I feel that you know what
you could do it, but it's not.
The next time I'm the judge, and you two are going against each other. Let it be written. Dave, you're getting one less minute to defend your side.
Fair.
I think that's fair. Because he was accepting defeat and you still jumped in to insult his character.
Yes.
So, Dave, you win with a penalty for future battle.
1 for 1. That's all I wanted.
And Toby...
And the fact that it's Shatterstar, I can lose the rest on out.
Toby, you did an excellent job. But I think you felt you agree with it that there's a lot to be said for Red Tornado, but I mean, yeah. Hopefully one day someone does write the right story for him. But yeah, I feel like that's Justice League syndrome, though. You always need
And you know what? I would rather talk about Red Tornado than the comic book we're about to talk about. So
Jesus.
One thing I will say though, like we can't physically do this, but like a shake of hands, that was fair. That was a really good attempt. And
it was a good one.
It was a good one.
You both did very well.
Thank you. You
both did very well. So, thank you guys for tuning into that segment. That is Judgment Call. Hopefully, if you guys have your own opinions, once again, you can always comment below. And when I say below, this is because hopefully you're listening to this on our website, franklinarmstrong.com, and you can comment on the post. So we're going to move forward into our next segment. This segment is called The Review. So I'm not going to ask Toby to go first because I'm really scared.
Yeah, he's just going to take.
I do want to lead it with something.
Okay.
In our last issue, I said that the Superior Spider-Man was not as the overarching story was not important and the characters mattered. In this scenario, the overarching story is the only thing keeping me reading.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Because I want to know what.
I was very scared. Sorry, I was very scared.
I want to know what's going on.
Okay, so so I will start off with that because I agree with you. I'm on the same page. I think what Sean Lewis was trying to do was noble in addressing an issue that is actually happening in the world. There are a lot of women who are going missing here in Montreal, in Canada in general. The Native American community is always trying to press the importance of the fact that there is a constant issue with the loss of young women and actually women of all ages, trans women, trans people, all of them. Their people are going missing, and that is a major issue. And I don't know Sean Lewis, so I can't know Sean Lewis's mind. I don't know if the writing of this story was to address that issue. I would like to think that that's what they were trying to do, and just making. I mean, it's always hard to handle such heavy issues in any form of entertainment because it's meant to be consumed and I guess enjoy. You're always hoping that people enjoy your stories.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the idea was to tell this story, and also educate, but also make us enjoy, it's always a very delicate balance. And unfortunately, that's where I think he fell short. I think that I think the writing is interesting, and like Toby said, you want to know what's going on, which I agree. I didn't understand what was going on for a large part of this. It felt very jumbled, a lot of kind of moving parts. I
found myself like reading the story and then looking, like not understanding where it's going or why it even started or why it is what it is. But I kept looking on the pages for clues.
Yeah,
I felt like that was so distracting.
Yeah,
because there were no clues.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is, and if that was his intention, and like you took it somewhere else, where like I feel bad talking about it now. If that's the intention,
no, don't feel bad. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm going to tear down the story itself because the story itself is trash. And if you were trying to actually do something for a cause,
exactly,
I would hope you wrote something better than this.
Yes, that's my point with this is if Sean Lewis was trying to serve the communities that are trying to make this come to the forefront and be discussed, you did not serve that purpose well in this particular story. And it's unfortunate because if that was the purpose, I'm not saying you're a bad writer, I just don't think you had the right, you didn't write the story in the right way. I'm not sure of Sean Lewis's gender. If Sean Lewis is a man, because I don't know, I didn't look up Sean Lewis, so Tobe, if you want to double check, if Sean Lewis is a man and felt that he should be the one writing the story about the erasure of women in communities, this is one of those times where, buddy, you may have taken a step back because it's not necessarily. It's one of those situations where we're not always the ones that need to write the story. You can be an excellent writer. You can tell the stories regarding women very well, but in this example, I don't think. And also, I feel like it's a matter of race and it's a matter of gender, and there's a lot of weight to the discussion to be had, and I felt that Sean wasn't on the right page with it. That's for me.
Well,
sorry, Dave. I know you didn't say.
No, it's okay. I'm making sure everyone gets their thoughts out. Yeah. I agree with the overarching what you guys are talking about. Like he was trying to obviously bring up issues, right?
Yeah.
In using a medium where maybe people who are nerds or whatever, they don't necessarily think of these things because we're always stuck in our books. Yeah, in our fantasy worlds, if you will, and it's important to bring up those issues because at the same time you're trying to assuming that this is geared towards young adults, potentially teens or whatever. You're trying to give away of this is really crappy, but this really happens in the real world.
Yeah,
and you guys got to start thinking about it because you don't want history to repeat itself.
Yeah.
But if I were to look at this, if we take that out, if we're just looking at what's going on in the book as a horror book.
Sorry, before you continue, did you actually get that from the story like right now, or is it because of what Doc said?
Because I got it right away. I got it right away that it was about the second I read it, because I've worked with Aboriginal people before, so like it struck a chord with me like right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if I were to step back and just look at like the actual okay, this is a horror book and what we're doing, I think a lot of the visuals were really well done. I think also because we read Moon Knight and Moon Knight was a little bit all over the place. It helped me get through this. Yeah, but there was
structure. It was organized chaos.
There was organized chaos. This is just chaos.
This is a city that got overran by zombies and they don't know what to do with themselves. They're the first city who got the zombie virus and got fucked.
But if anything, that's an interesting book. That's the whole reason why they made the show Fear the Walking Dead, right? Because you want to know how it started.
Sure.
All right.
I think I do agree with that statement. That some people like to know where their stories start off, and you don't always have to, because sometimes the best stories don't tell us how it starts. But I know
how does that factor into this story? Like, I don't know. I don't understand that.
as you guys were saying for like Superior Spider-Man, right? All the first issues were building blocks for things that happen later.
Yeah.
This is 4 issues into a story that we have no idea how long it's going to last.
Yeah, because it's
so that said, Doc, you want to give us a quick little synopsis for those listening
of what the story is?
Yeah.
I mean, like we said in the elevator pitch, it really is about it's a 13-year-old girl who is investigating the story of missing women. In her community, she had an older sister who unfortunately was attacked and also went missing. You find out that there's a character Duchess that is kind of like the matriarch of their collective of female assassins, or I guess werewolf coyote hunters.
Yes,
is probably the best term, and the Duchess is the matriarch of that group of women. And you find out that the Duchess was one of the first hunters, because she survived an attack from men who were most likely going to. It's weird
rape
because,
and pillage.
Well, that's the thing. It came across. First of all, it wouldn't have been rape. She was a willing partner in sexual interest. She was more than happy to have sex with them. She admits that.
That's true.
But weirdly enough, those men then turned into coyotes and then wanted to eat or destroy or kill her, which I don't understand.
Oh wait, they did, didn't they?
No, Duchess gets away. She kills them.
That's why one of them even tells her, like, you're the first person who's killed a coyote the first time you've met one.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, the comment in that, and I think it's said very specifically that she was willing to be intimate with these two people, and then these two people turned into monsters and then just wanted to kill her. And that's the part, and that's one of the things that we've been talking about, where we don't understand. I do not understand the motivation of the coyotes at all.
I think
none. There is literally none.
I feel like it's just and this is my opinion by reading it, and I think it's just like a pure concept of prey. Every animal has a thing that they prey on, right? Every carnivore animal has a prey. I think that's what it is.
Who's the predator here?
Well, the coyotes are clearly the predator.
So was Sean Lewis trying to say that?
That's the thing.
No, but
that's the thing.
That's why I'm asking. Is Sean Lewis writing this story and trying to imply men are predators, and that's how he's doing it? Because I don't
think he thought that deep at all.
I think I'm sure he had to. I don't think you can write a story like this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's two evildoers here, right? There's man who tries to absorb the ability of a coyote, because the coyote is supposed to be like
there's man who is forcing prisoners to turn into were-coyotes, and then those were-coyotes are going out into the world and killing solely women for whatever
But there's also
reason.
the ancient coyote who said that he basically says, I'm going to come back after you guys, but these guys are more important right now to kill, but I'm going to come and kill you guys, don't you worry. That shows that it's a natural prey.
Coyote. Are you listening to yourself? There's an ancient coyote that this mad scientist somehow captured. I don't know how. How did he get it? How did he tie him up? Where did he come from? Why is he there? How did he know that taking the skin, the pelt off of this old big ass?
No, but I get because Toby's one of the people who likes origins. Like, you don't like origin stories, but you like things that at least are explained.
Like a quiet place didn't give me an origin story for the monsters, but it set up the world in such a way that I didn't even need to know why they were there. I just know that I knew their purpose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the Adlin, the company doesn't seem to have a purpose.
I think it's the yet. I think it's the yet.
It's the yet.
Okay. The monsters in a quiet place drive the story straight up. Like, you know why they're there. They don't actually have a purpose. Sorry, they drive the story though. They make the characters, they give the characters some sort of a new purpose, survival. In this situation, it's like everyone's willing to die. Everyone's dying. There's no attachment to any character. There's no development to any character.
Wait, are you saying between the characters or for us?
No, between the characters.
I mean...
Wait, sorry. What do you mean? What was
sorry, because you said there's no attachment to the characters.
For us.
For us. Okay, sorry.
And seemingly between the characters, I did not believe the relationship between any of them at all.
Okay. So I'll disagree with that.
Between Red and Eye Patch, what? She yelled my name while I was...
I did see that. I see... Because for me, I see a relationship between Red and Eye Patch, because Red lost her sister and Eye Patch had her back. And Eye Patch
the way Red lost her sister.
Yeah, I mean, I think Red losing her sister marked her quite a bit, and obviously it inspires her to move on and become like the head, coyote hunter. And Patch's
How
eye patch.
How did she become the chosen one? Why is she the one?
And that's what Dave's saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
let's
the
let
yet.
Dave continue. Yeah,
like you're saying before. Like I completely understand your perspective of it because it was something that I was going through. But just like what we were saying in the last episode, sometimes you're building up blocks for the yet. I feel like this is a book that maybe if you read the whole, it might be one of those problems where you actually have to read the whole thing to get it. Like, perfect example. If you ever seen the show Venture Brothers, I'm a very proponent for that show. But anytime someone asks me about it, I tell them, you need to watch the entire first season before you could even understand the comedy. Because if you watch the whole season, then watch it again, it becomes so much funnier. In this situation,
this was interesting enough for you to keep reading? Because
no, I never said that either. But let's also put this. I'm also going to say my bias in this. I'm writing Trinity with Chris Nicholson right now. Our thing is the underworld, which is vampires, werewolves, zombies. These are things that we're going to do, right? When we were writing this, just acting on regular like werewolves or vampires, we want to augment our book by changing something about them. So, like, for example, werewolves, and this is not really a spoiler that much. If people read into it, I'm sorry, but our spoiler for werewolves, their ability, instead of the moon being an on and off switch, the moon is a gauge of how much they turn. So one challenge for us... This is in your comic. That's in my comic book. One of our challenges that we're facing now, because we know we're going to want to do more story arcs, is trying to think of new monsters or new tangents. And one thing I always appreciate in any book or any medium is that when you try and create the cousin characters of a zombie, or like example, one could say mummies and zombies are the cousins or far relatives of each other.
Yeah.
In this situation, you're creating a new monster which is that far cousin or family member from the werewolf. Yeah. And they are changing it. It's not being bitten. You have to wear a pelt from an ancient werewolf or ancient coyote.
Yeah.
Now, where does this stem from? Agreed. It's not told yet. But sometimes the
How
best...
do you turn back? Do you turn back?
Yeah, you can.
Actually, no. They
turn on and off. They turn on and off.
In the comic book, they turn off.
They turn on and off.
Yeah.
When they little I paid attention to.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe so maybe there's an underlying reason why you have your opinion.
No, but I mean,
but like all I'm saying is I think it's a gutsy move to try and do something different. I completely agree with you. It's all over the place. Yeah. I am not going. If you're looking for structure, this is not the book for you.
No, yeah, that's
okay. Let's just be very honest about that. Yeah. I took it with a grain of salt. I just read it through.
Yeah.
I was like, because I was going to do the whole like rereading them, but I was like, you know what? This is so chaotic. Yeah. Maybe it's meant to be. Maybe you're supposed to be like, oh, where am I? Where am I? And for all you know, issue 5 or 6 is like, oh, and now everything makes sense. It's like as if you never knew Peter Parker and SpiderMan were the same person.
Yeah. And
then one day, and then you have like these weird parallels, and then one time at like 10 issues in, you're like, oh, they're the same person. Now all of this makes sense.
I can't believe how much.
But he's not saying. But I'm not. He's not saying that. That's exactly what Lewis is doing with Yarsky. He's saying.
I want to know what you think Lewis is doing. That's all I care about. I
think he's trying to create a new brand of monster, and for that I give him 110% kudos. Because frankly, if you think of monsters, we don't have a lot more left. And in today's day and age, one thing that is hard to do is create new characters and new monsters. Yeah. Perfect example, how they just make alternate universes so Spider-Man could be now an African-American, how Thor is just now a lady. A woman, There's a lot of things, how they use movies as a reason to change the entire casting of, the ethnicities of the entire Justice League. Stop doing that. Stop spending your time and figuring out how can we change what we have different. Yeah, stop doing that and put all that extra energy in creating something new. And this is what he's doing.
He's using my argument. I've always said that.
And one thing I'm going to say, though, one thing where he did fail in this is, okay, the werewolf thing is a comparison, and I get that, because you're trying to create a parallel. You're trying to say, hey, we have this, but this can also exist here in this part of the world. It's like how...
So that's why when you say create something new, I don't agree that that's what he's doing here. He's doing exactly the same thing they've been doing that you mentioned with Thor and Spider-Man. All they're doing is innovating on something that already exists.
Okay.
That's not creating a new monster.
That's fair, but you could also say the same between ghosts and banshees, for example. But would you say that they're the same? You can't.
But yeah, one innovated on the other. So you're right. It is hard to create
it's
something
good to have,
new.
It's good to have inspiration.
Innovating and create. Exactly. That's fine. That's what
this
here.
is. This is inspiration for something new. Whereas you literally took Thor and made her a girl.
The story is uninspired. The monsters probably are.
Exactly.
Sorry,
so you guys are agreeing because what you're both saying is that the monster itself and the creation of the monster through the innovation and history of monsters in stories, so werewolves to coyotes, and what you were saying, ghosts and banshees and mummies and zombies, which is very interesting, things I never thought of, and one of the reasons I'm happy that we got to do this one with you working on it is because of your experience writing these Trinity. You have insight into trying to tell stories related to these classic monsters.
And trying to, like, not innovate, but try and make it so it's fresh.
Yeah. I mean, that is innovation. You're trying to, sometimes people just slap a logo on the box that says new and improved, but they actually didn't do much.
It's just a color change.
Yeah. Whereas, that's the problem. That's why I feel Sean Lewis here. You do give him kudos for the innovation. He did create a new evolution of the character interaction with the pelt versus being bitten. So, I mean, I won't say he slapped new and improved on it and just released it, but it's not the best version of it. Because what happens is, through doing this, the story ended up falling short. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, I just wanted to add this because I want to also fuel a little bit Toby's argument as well. One place where I find he failed is, sure, you did that for the monsters, cool, but there are some characters that are kind of blatant ripoffs of other characters. For example, Red is a mixture of Kill Bill's the Bride and Michonne. Actually, you know what? It's a 13-year-old Michonne. That's what she is. And the Duchess, frankly, is a female version of Samuel Jackson.
Okay.
She is.
Okay.
You can't. If anyone were to argue, that's where.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, and I'm not saying it because she's African American. I'm saying her attitude alone is exactly
disrespectful to even call her Samuel.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to agree, though.
It's a fall short attempt. The writing in this is, I'm sorry, man. The writing is just terrible.
Oh, dialogue one is not the best I can concur.
The writing in this is like, I couldn't believe someone wrote okay. You said the art was good.
I like
it was
the art.
Appropriate. It was appropriate for a horror book.
It was appropriate for fine. I was willing to give the art a chance.
Yeah, Yarsky did a good job. Caitlin Yarsky did a very good job with the art.
For the first page, and the writing itself just drove me bananas. Mm-hmm. Like the way it's inserted, the abruptness of the conversations and how they start and how quickly they end. The screaming for nothing. Everyone is just yelling for nothing here. Yeah. Like, at any given moment, someone could turn on the person they've been friendly with. It just didn't. The story didn't move.
Yeah, so stuff.
It was just conflict. It was constant conflicts. It's not even. It doesn't allow you as a reader to digest what's happening.
Yeah,
you're just constantly getting things thrown at you because almost like he's trying to hide how shitty the story is. He's trying to hide how shitty the top level story is by inserting all these little random conflicts that literally add nothing to the story.
So I'll break down because I think I see what you're talking about. I know that. For example, the introduction of the abuelas felt forced.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
completely.
So if you're reading the story, how it starts off is Red is solo. Things have pretty much fallen apart in her life. And then she is with the Duchess and Eye Patch and that group of women who are the coyote hunters. And then you find out that she finds a doll that looks like her sister. Then she finds out from someone where those dolls are made. She goes to the place, and you find the abuelas. And the abuelas are the older generation of the coyote hunters.
The
wise women.
Witches.
Yeah.
Which, that to me was the weakest thing about this. I hated the doll story arc part. I was like, I don't see any point of this at the current moment.
I mean, the doll story part was to say that these lost girls don't get burials. The way we remember them is through the dolls. Very weird. Mm-hmm. I don't really understand that. Yeah. I don't know if that's a cultural thing. Maybe he took that from somewhere and there's a cultural significance. I don't know. I just know that it didn't really make sense in the story. Anything to do with the abuelas felt forced. It felt like a really quick way to try and bridge the story from the Duchess to Adlin. and it didn't work because it doesn't make sense.
So stupid. I'm sorry. Like as you're telling it, I'm trying not to crack up. But
I wish we were a video cast. I would love to people to see.
But wait, let me at least finish. One of the other problems is Adlin themselves as a company and men in the story. So I know that you're saying, Toby, you don't think Sean Lewis thought this deeply, and I don't know. But if he was this smart and he was thinking this deeply, one of the commentaries that could be made is that men don't need a motivation to be abusive and angry and to do things they do. When one of the prisoners says, "I was forced to do this," and then it's revealed that he's keeping trophies, that was a very good scene because it addresses the fact that there was a moment where you felt for the prisoners because you're just like, well, these men aren't evil. Once you put the pelt on them, they turn into these monsters and they can't control themselves. But then when the pelt came off, the person who is explaining I'm not a monster still had trophies, and that is that's an explanation of no. So you were a monster. You and the fact that you have a trophy indicates that you can control yourself because you knew enough to take something to remember what you've done. And that to me is why I feel like Sean Lewis was trying to make the comment that in this story, men don't need the motivation. You know, like whether or not you put the pelt, the men in the story were evil. However, he still goes out of his way to put his white male savior in. Because the character of Frank Coffey, who is quite nice, I have nothing against the character, but it looks like when you're reading the story about a Latina 13-year-old in an offshoot community that is being attacked by this overarching monster of a company, and in the end, the person that helps save the day is this white man named Frank Coffey, who's, you know, my wife left me because I'm trying to fight the good fight. That's my sacrifice. Well, these women have lost everything. Yeah, they've lost their families. They're living in like old train station or something. Like it, and then Frank's the hero. The story's about Red, but Frank comes in and helps save Red.
I think
he's because Red doesn't have.
She doesn't have the proper training. First of all, as much as everyone says she's a natural.
Yeah, I know. I didn't see that at all on any panel. Anyway, her sister at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So her sister, I'm saying, deserved to die.
Oh.
Everyone's telling you in the town, hey, girls have been going missing every day, all the time. Yeah. It is dangerous. Yeah. Don't leave the house. Classic horror movie trope. Hey, let's go out partying and dancing because we don't care, and then we'll come back home safely like it never happened. No, you're not. You're gonna die. She dies. And then literally I'm supposed to believe within like 2 pages that Red is all of a sudden this crazy coyote killer.
Yeah.
Or she's supposed to be this crazy like there's literally no transition. She's a kid still. This thing just happened to her. And what? Yeah, you're angry, but I don't you didn't have how? Your power's activated? And even if your powers combined. Even if your powers did activate, whatever that is, I didn't see that at all displayed in any way on any of the panels. You just were there. You were just there standing around, and this was happening. And then you're telling me that Sean Lewis probably thought about this stuff and everything.
I'm hoping. Listen, I'm not saying he did. I'm hoping.
I could write a thesis on Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat and make it sound good too.
Oh,
doesn't mean that was Dr. Seuss's intention. You know what I mean?
People call me brutal. I don't mind taking that minute off now.
I have a hard time buying what he's selling because of how terrible his introduction to it is.
I'm gonna point out. Because we have to move on. So I'm gonna summarize what I think we're all saying. He's a very poor world builder.
Sure. Yes.
But that's it, right? Like this world he's because in the end, it's not that the characters are bad. It's not that the story itself is bad, because all of that is part of a world that is not developed properly and doesn't address the things that he may or may not have been trying to address. So this world is poorly built from the beginning, and then as a foundation, you can't build on top of that. So, sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No. I was just doing that because I want to make sure I get one thing. I think one thing, though, may have been his organization. Like, for example, you always had the black and white story at the end of each book.
Yeah, which were like flashbacks.
Yeah, which I like those. Those gave you insight, but maybe those should have either been at the beginning of the book, or merged in the book.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
been flashbacks. There should have been something to tell me while I'm reading. Because after the story is done and I see that, I'm like, oh, okay.
But maybe that was
there's more pages. Damn it.
But that's a good point. That's exactly my sentiment towards Spider-Man, but Superior Spider-Man. But like maybe the thing that I think that he was trying to do, where I feel that we could consensusly say and I don't want to be harsh to him, but maybe where he failed is I feel that maybe he was trying to do. Like, oh, here's a story, and now you're going to read this, and it's going to give you this wow moment of, oh, this story makes sense now. And that's why I'm saying that maybe the organization was wrong. Maybe it was to put it at the beginning or during.
And he didn't get it through, like, he didn't run it through someone who gave him an honest opinion.
Yeah,
he surrounded himself with yes-men, potentially.
Well, it does come across as the editors on this one let him write. I
can't believe this is on Image. This is crazy to me.
So the editors let him write, and then gave him notes that, well... Maybe this is what it comes across to me. It was written, and the editors looked at it and said, well, you're missing the explanation for this, and this. And then they did the black and white, and then they added it, and the editors were like, okay, I guess, we'll try it. Issues 1, 2, 3, 4, try it this way. And then, that kind of fast forward at the end where you get that, like, this is the future where Red, one of the abuelas, and now this little boy are working together on top of a train, and you're like, yeah. I mean, it's hard.
Just stop.
Yeah,
just
it's
stop.
hard.
I want to send him this episode, this issue, and just have him
review it.
Listen.
Honestly,
to all this. Listen to what you're making me feel, and then make me feel the opposite of that.
No, but honestly, I would like to discuss it with. I would love, future episodes or issues. We'll do our best to try and reach out to some of these writers and maybe ask them, like, what was the inspiration? Because for this one, I really want to know, and I feel no way about telling a writer that I don't get what you were trying to do, and I don't think you did the story justice. Because if you're a writer, you're going to take criticism. The same way that we do this podcast, and if someone really thinks we don't do a good podcast, by all means, come and tell me, because I need to. Discussing the reason why something isn't up to your standards will help me understand, well, how can I make it better? And if I think that your opinion on it comes unfounded, that's the other thing. You have to come with facts. And this discussion that we've had comes from educated, informed comic book readers. One's a writer. Two of us have been consuming comic books our whole life. And we understand, you don't always have to study everything in university. You can study things by actually just taking them in. And by reading the amount of comics that we've read and living in the world, we have ideas and opinions on this. So I would love to sit down and just understand why. Because at the end of the day, two of us, I won't speak for you, Dave, but two of us can easily say, why'd you write this? Why'd you write this, Sean? Who is it for? Because sure, let's say it's not for men and it was only for women. I still think you did them a disservice because it's not a good story. So why'd you write it? Anyways, sorry.
I actually agree with most of that sentiment.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that I give him a lot of props for
what he was trying to do.
And I give him a lot of props for saying, I want to try and be inspired by something and attempt to create something new-ish, because
of course, I always am for that.
Because sometimes people swing and you don't hit it out of the park, and sometimes they miss. There's a lot of that.
Doesn't mean I'm not allowed to. Doesn't mean I have to like what you put out there.
Oh no, exactly. Crap on it as much as you want. Lord knows, I am one to judge things very harshly, but it is what it is. Yeah.
But by all means, don't let it stop you from chasing your dreams. If that's your dream.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is one person's opinion.
Yeah. I mean, also at the end of the day, Sean Lewis probably don't give a what we have to say about it, right? There you go. Because he's already working with Image and we're not, so that's the other part of that.
There you go.
But, so with all that said, that was the review. We're going to go into our next segment, Non-Canon. This is going to be a tight one right here on That's Canon. So this week we have the characters. Oh, actually, you know what? Dave, do you want to explain to people what non-canon is?
Oh,
that's
perfect.
where we should start.
Well, non-canon is basically if we were, and I'll use this analogy, if we were the Mojoverse and we had our own arena, we basically grab people, we try and grab characters that would never interact, either because they're not in the same universe, or they are in the same universe, but they're really not at all going to ever interact with one another. And we basically make 2 teams of 2 and see who would win. And this week we have, we kind of had a bit of a theme. Our little green alien friends is basically, if I had to like try and sum it up, in which case we have Martian Manhunter with Super Skrull versus Yoda and Piccolo.
Yep.
I don't know who wants to start, because I feel it's relatively very even, because you have a lot of like with Martian Manhunter, you have like a lot of, he could change his body and whatnot. And he's regenerative. Yeah. Piccolo has that. We both have strength and agiles on either side. We have telekinesis on both sides. It's going to be an interesting battle.
Oh yeah, because Piccolo has telekinesis.
Yeah.
Not as powerful, but
yeah. So I'm gonna say I really think that, and because for me this one's a quick one. I know it shouldn't be, but I really feel that Piccolo and Yoda have an advantage. Martian Manhunter is probably the strongest on that team, and because the Super Skrull I feel gets dealt with very easily. First of all, the Super Skrull with Martian Manhunter is already a bad choice because the Super Skrulls mimic the Fantastic Four power sets. Once he lights up, Martian Manhunter's down. But
he's not fighting him though, right?
No, but
it's true. He technically has an innate fear. That is one thing that is true.
Yeah, he's going to use the power of fire because he's going to use invisibility, the rock where he becomes just dense and strong,
which is the same power as Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, yeah. He's going to turn himself elasticity, like he can stretch out and stuff, which is good because if he's elastically, like stretched out and his limb gets cut off, I don't know how that works with the Super Skrulls, but I feel like he'll still be able to like pull back or do something. But as soon as he lights up, he has put his partner at a disadvantage. That's why I think Yoda and Piccolo end up taking it, because there's nothing that one of them will do that will hinder the other. But remember, in our scenarios, they're usually show up together. It's not like they sit in a corner and discuss their power sets
there's
together.
no strategy building.
Yeah, they kind of just go
instantaneous.
It's just like you two versus you two, fight to the death. Well,
so you're saying in a moment of not knowing that that's his weakness, he uses a heat manipulation blast or something, and that paralyzes John for just enough for Yoda or Piccolo to take him out.
Well, I think that using the fire at any point and anything being on fire around them, let's say because the Super Skrulls like to, in the comic book you see it, they light things on fire and then go invisible and start punching with rock fists, and they're really quick about using all the powers at their advantage. So as soon as he starts lighting things on fire, not knowing that his partner doesn't handle fire well, that's unfortunately going to put Martian Manhunter at a disadvantage.
That's true. Fire will have him freezing up more than Will Robinson in the danger.
and Yoda,
he'll slow him down.
And Yoda and Piccolo are very observative people, so if they were to notice that, there's easily a chance that they'd be like, "Oh, come shoot me," and they move and you shoot Martian Manhunter by accident. The one thing I think is a little bit also at the advantageous of Yoda and Piccolo, I don't know why, but I feel like they'd like get a mutual respect right away. Yoda respects everything, and the other thing that people should know, we're talking about a relatively young Yoda. We're not talking about episode 5 or 6 Yoda or whatever.
2.
We're talking about episode 2. So he has that agility. He has that. He does have the Force. He does have a lightsaber, which obviously helps out a lot of things. We're not going to lie.
Even without the lightsaber, he still has the Force, the wisdom,
and Piccolo's a pretty standard person, character himself. So
he could also make multiple copies, so he could technically have an army right behind him in a minute. Piccolo has the ability to make multiple versions of himself.
That's the power set I didn't know he had.
But I think it does weaken his ability, but it could mess around with things.
Yeah, but then Super Skrull has that ability to mind control, and paralyze with just a hypnotic force by the look of his eyes, right? So he can just control Piccolo. Yeah.
The Super Skrulls?
Here, hold on.
I think Martian Manhunter has telekinesis.
No, the Super Skrull also has a unique power, the ability to control the mind of others and paralyze them by emitting hypnotic force from his eyes.
Oh, I didn't know. Super Skrulls, that's the original Super Skrulls too. Now, we're not talking like Secret Invasion Super Skrull.
Yeah, this is, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I still think his team's at a disadvantage with the flames because it puts...
Yeah, that's a big one.
It slows down his partner quite a bit, and Yoda and, like you said, Piccolo, being strategically minded, would be quick to pick up on that, I do think.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, Super Skrull is also a very erratic person. I don't necessarily know if him and Martian Manhunter... Like, there's actually a chance that Martian Manhunter would actually if he was if going too crazy, I think he'd put him in submission, like go into his brain and be like off, and I'm going to try and take these two guys on myself. And if that were to happen, I definitely think Yoda and Piccolo versus Martian Manhunter would win.
Yeah.
Hey man, I think Super Skrull also has an advantage in the sense that he's in the he can impersonate people. Right?
He can only impersonate because we're doing the Super Skrull that impersonates the Fantastic Four, not the Secret Invasion.
Okay, the Secret Invasion.
That's why we have to have that line.
Yeah, because that's what when I asked him, because if we went for the Secret Invasion one, then you have a huge advantage because that one can do a lot more.
If you're telling me Super Skrull would all of a sudden become Yoda, then the thing's over, right? So that's why we had to try and choose the regular the original Super Skrull.
Right. Okay, well, yeah. I think we have a pretty unanimous victory here.
Yoda and Piccolo.
Then again, it's always hard to go against Yoda.
I know, right?
I love that guy.
Guys, we are coming to the end of the show. We are going to do our final thoughts.
When I always do.
So with regards to this one, once again, this is Coyotes coming out of Image just recently. The last issue came out in February of 2018. The story is written by Sean Lewis, the art and cover by Caitlin Yarsky. The story is the story of a 13-year-old character named Red, female coyote hunter, and the pseudo partner, Frank Coffey, who is a police detective who discovers that Adlin is a corrupt organization. And you find out that Adlin is also the organization that is creating the Coyotes. So our final thoughts on this, I think it's pretty fair to say we didn't like it.
Hard pass, unless he does a crazy full 180
in the next
few issues after maybe getting some such negative reviews, and he just decides to just revamp his whole universe.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to do it, but yeah, I'm done here.
Question though, Tobes, are you going to read further to try and see what was trying to be done? Are you
not curious enough?
You're not curious enough? Okay. And then Dave?
Well, for me, first of all, if I were to suggest this cannot be suggested to someone who likes structure in their books or to know what's going on.
Yeah,
definely not in your wheelhouse.
I don't.
No, he's not talking about you.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about a general reader. I don't. This is just like how we want in one of our issues. We were like, "Yo, Moon Knight is." If you were an experienced comic book reader, we would suggest this, but it would not be the first issue I'd give you.
Yeah,
kind of the same thing with this. If you're someone who just likes new monsters. Yeah, I would suggest to read it. Personally, for me, I'd give it maybe 6.5, but that's mainly because I'm really interested in the fact that I like and again, completely biased. I'm writing Trinity. I'm trying to create new monsters. I give him
respect what he's doing.
I give that respect. But
this was also how not to do things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But if we were to take out, let's say this was just werewolves. Oh wow! I don't even know if it got to 5.
Yeah.
But it's because you're trying to do something new. In regards to what you're saying, would I read on to this? I would not. I am not itching for the next book. If I have time, which is rare, in a year when there's more issues, so that I could quick read.
Yeah.
And if basically, if I gave this guy any more time, you'd have maybe the same amount of 4 issues. And if you don't wow me by then, I'll crap all over this book.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your score on 10?
6.
He says
2.5.
6.25. And Tobes, yours?
I have to grade it.
Yeah.
Is there negatives?
I'll be fair in the sense that it's hard to even. I know how hard it is to write and to come up with ideas and stuff like that. So just on that merit alone, legit, because the story is trash to me, I'm giving him a 3 out of 10.
Okay,
fair enough.
I'm giving him a 5 out of 10, and I give the 5 because. And once again, this 5 is based on my hopes that the writer, went in with a plan and just fell really short. So,
man, would you go to Wall Street with hopes and your money, or would you go with knowing you have a sure bet?
If I'm in the elevator and this was pitched to me, there's a good chance I'm not buying it, and that. Like you said, buy or sell. I'm not buying it. I wouldn't have bought it.
No.
Image, however they decided to let this go, I don't know if it's because they owed them one. When directors make 2 or 3 great movies and then the studio... Nolan, for example. Nolan had a deal where it's just well, you did Batman for us. do Inception, man. It's yours. You do what you want. You've done it again. Cool. Do Interstellar. Like, you just start to throw money at them because you're just like, you've done such a good job. And I haven't read any other Sean Lewis, so I don't know if his historically
else has he worked on?
Saints. He did Saints for Image as well.
I've never heard of Saints.
Yeah, I've never heard of Saints either, but I'd like to check it out. It's a 2016 story. And then I think he did one other's title for Image. I don't know what his full run is, but under Image he's done Saints, Coyotes, and something called The Few. Which
I don't want to shit on the guy. Like I said, it's not about him. It's about the story.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that's really hard. Sometimes when people write, you get an idea that like, oh, this is all they can do. But no, like the writers have to try and embody different characters and have to create different universes for those characters, unless they're writing them all in the same universe.
And one thing that,
sometimes it doesn't hit like this
exactly
one, to me anyway.
So I haven't read any other of Sean Lewis's stuff. But I see that he has, like I said, I think he was trying to do something, and for that I'll give him the 5 on 10.
He was trying to be like other things instead of trying to write a story, a good story.
And to what Dave said before, one of the things, and I didn't think of it this way, but I think it's great. If what he was doing was writing this story so that those who aren't aware of some of these social issues in the world are all of a sudden brought in and see it and think, oh, that this is something that's going on. This is like, it's not just a comic book story. This is legit. That's interesting to me.
And one thing I want to give to him, and this is just coming from a perspective, and I know sometimes it's hard when you're trying to tackle an issue or trying to write for something that you're not necessarily born and bred into. It's really hard. Like, for example, it's really known that when men have a tendency to try and write women lines, it's not as good as a woman writing a woman's lines, because you go through certain life experiences that you'll never be able to experience. Like, for example, I'm a single child. Although I have some friends I call my brother, I technically will never know how it really...
You mean you're an only child?
I'm an only child, yeah. So,
okay, when you say single, I mean you're dating? Or
yeah, well, I just date... Okay, that's a whole horrible joke that I was about to say. I don't want to go through that. But no, all I'm saying is, like, being an only child, I could call one of my friends a brother, and I have friends that I love to death, and they are technically my family. But would I ever be able to properly write the brotherly bond between two people? Not necessarily. Probably this guy is, from this picture, he's a white Caucasian. Assuming that he grew up in the States, he's obviously maybe not gone through poverty. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. So to write problems about women in the desert, in like, let's say a Mexican, and I don't want to call I'm not trying to
Latina. He's trying to write a story about Latin America.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not one. Yeah. Maybe he was surrounded himself. Maybe he has like an experience, and that's what made him want to write something like this. But that's where maybe some of it got lost.
Yeah, it's straight up just all the whatever he tried to do just didn't translate.
Yeah. It's funny. The whole time we've been talking about him, we've been trying to make the excuses to try and understand why. But and at the end of the day, I can tell you, if we're wrong about all this, Sean Lewis is a Caucasian male from the States who attempted to write the story about a young Latina in a community where women are being abused and the women are being attacked by men, and it fell short. And I don't know if that has to do with his race or his gender. It maybe has nothing to do with it. Maybe he just could not write that story. But what Dave and I and Toby, you might agree, are trying to say is, at the end of the day, sometimes we really do need to let people within their communities try and tell their stories first. And that's what it is. I think that if I would have loved to have seen this story tackled by a woman, or maybe even at least a Latin man who's been in a community and seen how this has affected family members and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't, and that's, please note, this isn't the reason that I think the story was poorly written.
Oh, no, not at all.
Not because Sean Lewis is a white guy that he couldn't write this.
It's just a challenge.
It's a challenge, and I think that there are great writers out there who can do stuff like this, who can write in the voices of other people. But Sean Lewis didn't do it this time, and I don't know if that has to do with his race or his gender. But at the end of the day, it's hard to ignore it as a factor, because if
go ahead.
Yeah, because to me, trying to write the story of a 13-year-old Latina girl in a Latin community as a woman or young girl who's losing family members to men who are attacking, I'm not going to try and write that.
Who's also not had a male figure, right?
True. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a male, so obviously right away you assume that.
Yeah, a lot of things.
And that's said in the words of our beautiful Spanish people, Señor Sean Williams, cancelar este libro, por favor.
Please cancel
Which
the book.
means, yes.
Just out of curiosity, do we know if the run is it still going?
Yeah, the issue 5 is expected at some point.
Issue 4 was recent.
Not after this issue.
Okay, so guys, that's the end of our show. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Dave, what do you want to tell people about squared-idea.com?
Again, just try and support your local or independent artists. Take a shot going to www.squared-idea.com. Give us a read. There's other projects we're starting to work on, and especially if you're an independent artist trying to just get your foot through the door, give us a shout. When it comes to actually the podcast, please give comments when you can. We're always willing to take on improvement. And if you have any ideas, whether or not you guys want to give us a non-canon to judge, or even say, oh, I think these characters would be interesting for judgment calls, maybe we'll pick one up.
Yep. Yeah. Please do. Toby, what do you want to tell the people?
Follow me on Instagram at thatfitdude. That's
Sweet.
all.
And then, guys, that's the whole show. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. You can catch us on franklinarmstrong.com at any time. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, it's facebook.com/franklinarmstrong.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at @astrongfranklin. If you are doing it and commenting on this particular show, That's Canon, please make sure to hashtag That's Canon so that we know that's what you're addressing. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. We had a great time doing this one, and we look forward to doing more of them for you. We'll be back soon. And if you want to follow me, I'm Brian Holiday on Instagram, BrianHollidae. Peace, everybody. We loved it.
Deuces.
Come back.